Well, back in the shop again this week, but frankly, there's not a lot going on this week. Most of the machinery is running as pretty much as good as it can run, so I've been actually out on the road enjoying it and getting some use out of it. Why is the Commando parked there on the lift? Because it's a good place to park. Yeah, if there's nothing else to do, I just park something up there. It gives me a little more floor space, which I kind of needed because one of my good neighbors and a good friend of mine has come across an old lawnmower that he picked up. Anyway, he didn't want to be bothered fixing it up, so he asked me if I wanted it. So that'll be something I can tinker with. I'm sure whatever's wrong with it is pretty simple. It does roll over and it does seem to have enough compression that it should run. So I'll just take my time with it and discover what's going on. And I do want to do a review on the Yamaha 650. That might not be the best example because that one's been chopped and bastardized and brought back from that to the state that it's in now, but that's a good example of what not to do to a motorcycle. But in any case, it's very good now. It resembles, as you can see, a late 60s Triumph, so that's the look I was after the last time I was working on it. Anyway, I had the Cop Commando out yesterday, I think it was, for a nice ride. And the day before that, I had the AJS out. I did do a bit more work to the AJS. I, in my foolishness, was trying to get that top end nice and tight, concerning the valve covers and that stuff. And I was using 3-Bond, which generally works extremely well. That primary case is actually sealed up with 3-Bond, and it holds oil. And it doesn't even leak. The puddle that you see under the bike, that's coming from other places because that bike does leak. But like I said, these things, there's no seals on them. So you can't expect perfection on an engine with no seals. But in any case, the problems I was having with the valve covers were all on the right side cylinder head. The left side one sealed up just fine, but the right exhaust cover, I had a lot of trouble with that because of the way the head is shaped. It doesn't allow those little valve covers to sit perfectly over where they should to seal, so I wound up having to make a gasket for under that. And then a week later, I ended up making a gasket for under the intake valve cover as well. But now I no longer see any oil down there dropping on my distributor. So I think I've got my oil leaks from the top end looked after. And speaking of distributor, I did decide that I wanted to double check that ignition timing, and I'm glad I did because it turned out that the ignition timing was retarded by about 3/32 of an inch. That's nearly 1/8 of an inch in terms of piston travel before top center. And so anyway, I adjusted that, and right away I noticed that it did make the engine a little bit easier to keep running after you had started it. It was an easy starter anyway, but now it's even easier. And it did give me a little bit more sparkling performance as far as the engine response to the throttle and that sort of thing goes. I mean, that bike it's never going to be a wheelie machine or a rear tire shredder or anything like that. It is what it is. But like I said, the performance is a bit more sparkling where it is now, with the ignition timing advanced to the proper degree. So I'm quite happy with it. Like I said, I've had that out quite a few times this year actually, and so it's working probably as best as it can work without me going into the engine and doing a whole bunch more modifications, which I do not intend to do. Let's see. I'll just put you on pause, show you something else I've been doing because I enjoy doing other things as well. So stand by. I'm going to take you out to the wood shop. Oh, before we go out to the wood shop, let me show you. I picked up a really nice helmet from a good friend of mine. He's not riding anymore. And that's a nice light helmet. He only used that for about a year, I think. So it's in extremely good shape. It's almost like brand new. So I'm pleased to have that. It's lighter than the Nolan one that I have, so it's a better summertime helmet than the Nolan just because it's lighter and you get a little more airflow in around there. So now back to it. Let's go out to the wood shop. Okay, here we are out in the wood shop, and this is what I've been tinkering with out here. It's a little model kit that a really good friend of mine picked up for me, and I love doing this sort of thing on rainy days and that sort of stuff. And anyways, I'm getting in there with the standing rigging. I've got most of it there. I put dead eyes on here instead of the little rings that came with it because they're more realistic. And I've started putting the rat lines into the shrouds here. That is a time-consuming process. And doing all this, I think I've taken a beginner type model and I've turned it into a more of an intermediate one. Like the model didn't have these ribs in here that it should have, you know, and that sort of thing. It didn't have gunnels along the top and the stern section, which I added as well. So I like details. I don't think I'm going to use the sails that came with this kit because the cloth is quite coarse. So at this scale, I want this thing to be as accurate as it can. So I'm going to look for some nice cambric. I'll probably dye it that sort of an off-white with tea bags to get that slightly brownish color that that canvas has instead of the stark white. So anyway, I'm having fun with that. It's a cute little market schooner. So anyway, I'm going to carry on with that on rainy days and that sort of thing, and times when I don't have any motorcycle work to do. And by the way, I think I might be getting another BSA back in the shop here sometime in the next couple of weeks anyway. And the idea is to get that out on the road, do some road tests with it, and make sure it's going to run properly. And anyway, there's one more thing I'll show you about what I've been doing. And it's something I hate to do. But stand by, we're going to go in the house. I'm renovating an old bathroom into a closet. Okay, let's slide this door open. There we go. This used to be a bathroom. And now it's going to be a walk-in closet. I got one more wall to put the drywall on, but I got 3 out of 4 done so far. And I've got my sliding doors in here, so close that up. Take one last look from where the door used to be. But I really hate doing this kind of work. I don't mind doing repairs and maintenance, but renovations, look, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for my good lady wife, this house would look like it did 40 years ago when I first moved in. Anyway, she makes the place look more modern, and I try to keep her happy as best I can, even though I don't like doing this sort of stuff. So let's go back out to the garage. Well, speaking of maintenance, what's under that tarp? It's dirt. I don't want it to wash away because it has to go in here. I've dug up my honey tank so I can get that pumped out. I get this done about every 4 years or so. So anyway, I'll be glad when I get that covered up. But they're coming next week to pump that out. This is something I really enjoy is the wife's gardening efforts here. I've still got some of these nice big white peonies and they just smell heavenly, but they're starting to fall apart, as you can see from that one. So it's part of the sadness of the whole season as you see things come and go. And the really bad part is that makes me kind of sad. The peonies are only here for about 2 weeks and then they're gone. So you have to wait another 50 weeks for them to come back. Anyway, let's get back here into the shop. And we'll finish this video up. Anyway, that pretty much wraps this little video up. There's not a whole lot of bike work going on this week. So I do apologize for that. But like I say, I think maybe next week I will try to do something on the Yamaha 650. And like I say, maybe I'll take you out for a ride. I actually do have a new camera mount that I can put on the front of my jacket. So yeah, that might be a good experiment to try that and see how it works. Anyway, thanks for watching. You all be good to each other, and we'll talk next time.